Imagine a world without choices. Imagine you can't make your own decision. That wouldn't be a world for me. That wouldn't be a world for you. UIC. Tell them we're gonna be stronger. Together we can make it right. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. Gonna be stronger together. Time we all just unify. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. It isn't that alright? Hello and welcome everyone to another edition of UIC Liberty TV. My name is Douglas Harper. Welcome to the program. Bless up yourself, JMH, where you're always on target, man. Good to have you guys on. Tonight we're going to be dealing with a topic that is quite, what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to stir up a lot of emotions. A lot of people have a lot of different views and angles on what we're going to talk about. And we're basically looking at what is the role of the police, right? Is the police there to enforce the law, or is the police there to serve the citizens, or is it both? And so we're going to be looking at that. Recently, I don't know if you guys have heard, but recently there were some members of the police force that shot and killed a man that they say was wanted for murder when they were trying to arrest him. So in tonight's episode, we're going to look at why the UIC plans to change the police from a force to a service, how that will affect Jamaica, and all things in between. So thanks again for joining. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel so you will always get notifications when we're online. I'm going to bring in Mr. Patterson. He'll be here with us. And but before I bring in Mr. Patterson, I'm just going to play the news clip that speaks to the incident. Oh, wow. Give me a second here, folks. This clip is not here. All right, so let me bring in Mr. Patterson. While he'll talk, I will get the news clip up.
First this evening, the St. Elizabeth police are defending their actions which led to the death of...
Okay, good evening, Mr. Patterson. How are you?
Good evening, Sir Harper. Very good. Good to see you. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to the program tonight.
Okay, so we have that video lined up, so I'm just going to bring it up so you guys can see, and then we talk and come back when that is finished. Or come back and talk when that's finished, sorry.
This evening, the St. Elizabeth police are defending their actions
which led to the death of a man deemed one of the parish's most wanted.
Dwayne Morrison, aka Wasp, was killed during a tussle with the police yesterday. Kalisha Williams reports.
This is the moment Dwayne Morrison was arrested by lawmen. Behind this viral video recording, we were told was a family member. Despite being handcuffed, the officers faced a tough time getting him into the police vehicle. A female could also be heard asking them to go easy.
Why you don't tell him to cooperate? So when you're cuisine, the king can't cooperate.
After hurling an expletive, the man then said, "You have to kill me." This would go on for a few more minutes. One of the policemen even called for backup. However, things took an ugly turn when the 25-year-old reached for one of the lawmen's gun. That's when he was fatally shot. So what led the officers here? Head of the St. Elizabeth Police, Superintendent Kenneth Chin, says the officers were conducting an operation at a bar in Stephen Run District. Morrison, who's been wanted for a July 2022 murder, attempted to run when he was accosted. He says the two officers were injured.
We take this opportunity to inform the public that we, the police, have a duty to bring all criminals to justice, and we will continue to defend our lives as well as the lives of all law-abiding citizens, and we will not hesitate to use the appropriate force to repel any and all attacks.
He also had high praises for the policemen.
I thank the members of the St. Elizabeth Division for their continued efforts in our intense road policing activities, which are reaping success. The team that participated in this particular operation must be commended for their quick response and decisive actions. Our operational activities will continue, and all efforts will be made to get the guns, arrest offenders, and rid the parish of criminal elements.
St. Elizabeth has seen an uptick in violence in recent times. The police are urging citizens to refrain from harboring criminals and to partner with them as they seek to restore law and order in the parish. Kelisha Williams, TVJ News.
Okay, so that is one of the news stories surrounding the incident. There have been quite a few, quite a number of other news stories.
Electrify your metabolism back to teenage levels by eating 1/2 teaspoon.
So, so we've seen the video, and there are lots of questions to be asked in this video, and one of the first questions is, how did we get where the video started? So first and foremost, the video is, most of it is blurred, so you're not really able to see, the full picture of what really happened. But what happened before what we're seeing in the video, and if what happened before was done properly, would we have gotten to where we are, or where we're seeing the video now? Mr. Patterson, after watching that video, what are some of the comments and some of the issues that you have? Oh, okay, great. Mr. Patterson seems to have found a. Can we?
Yes, sir. Officer, do me a beg. General, sir. Officer, I'm here, the man. Officer General, sir, me a tell.
Yeah, thank you, Sir Harper, for showing the first video and this one as well. I want us to step back a little bit, you see, and take off our emotional cap. Every Jamaican citizen right now is fed up with the high crime rate in Jamaica. We're fed up. We're tired of seeing people being murdered and brutalized. We're tired of seeing gunmen getting away with murdering people. But we really need to ask ourselves why this is happening and assess each situation properly, devoid of the emotions. Now, earlier today, I responded to a group. We have a UIC open discussion group where people talk about the issue. And so earlier today, I responded to, this morning actually, I responded to the group. So in the group, most people were in favor of what the police did. Most people who were in the group talking were in favor of what the police did. The chairman of the UIC brought some very sober reasoning to the table and tried to explain some very important point, which some persons on the group understood and some still didn't understand. Here's the summary that I wrote to them this morning at about 7:07 a.m. I said, my fellow uniters, while we here do not understand or know all the facts, we should not condone wrongdoing by anyone, including the police. The latter, that is the police, has a duty to bring suspected criminals to justice, not to be judge jury, and executioner. It would appear to me from the video that the police committed murder and should be seriously investigated for the same. If the victim is a mass murderer or the devil himself, the duty of the police is to take him into custody without causing him undue harm, if possible. This video seemed to suggest that they could have done so, but opted to kill the apprehended man instead. You may be okay with that if you hear that the victim is a wanted man, but would you be okay with that if it was you or someone you care about that is suspected of a crime and is caught and then executed? For example, I was arrested last year and the police accused me of resisting arrest, which the camera evidence showed clearly that I did not resist arrest. But suppose they had used that as the basis for shooting me when they were arresting me, because in their assessment, I was resisting arrest. It's very important, my friends, that we look closely at the tape and examine all of the processes and ask ourselves a simple question. Did the police demonstrate competence or incompetence in the way they went about arresting this suspected criminal? Did they demonstrate competence, or were they incompetent? Or were they even deliberately incompetent in order to be able to have an excuse for murdering the suspect? Now, let's be clear. We're not defending criminals. I have no idea. I have no knowledge as to whether or not the accused is a criminal or not. The fact that he's not wearing jacket and tie and doesn't look nice and well kept like the rest of us does not make him automatically a criminal. The fact that he is bleeping expletives or look unkempt does not necessarily make him a criminal. What I saw in the video was somebody who was under arrest, somebody who was being taken into custody, somebody who gave the police some challenges and some difficulties, somebody that was later in the process shot by the police, with a big question mark over it, whether or not they, the police, conducted themselves in such a way as to properly manage the situation, and as a result, would have been able to apprehend the suspect, bring them into custody, and cause them to face justice so that we, the people, may know whether the system finds the perpetrator or the suspected perpetrator guilty or not. We do not want our police officers to be judges, jury, and executioner, which is why it's very important that ministers of government, national security ministers, do not make statements that suggest to police officers that they have the right and authority to go beyond their training. But then again, we need to question, are they being properly trained? Back to you, Mr. Harper.
Yes, that's a very good question, Mr. Patterson. And something that you just brought up is clearly the minister, in what he said, gave leeway, if you want to say, for this to happen. Now police are going to be able to, or see it as their duty to go after criminals, and if they are being, resisted, they can use now this, sentence of shoot to kill, as this is my, what you call it now? In Monopoly, they have, pass go card, This is now my card for me to execute this person who, as far as they're concerned, is a scourge to society. But I mean, really, who created all of this in the first place? So it's really something that we have to, as you said, step back and really look at it from all angles before just making an emotional response or coming to an emotional conclusion.
I noticed that on the chat section, I think somebody by the name of Natalie Mullings is suggesting that I think she says, I have no sympathy for the guy. He murdered a man in July and used, what did it say after that? And was wanted by the police. How does Natalie know that he murdered a man in July? How does she know? I'm assuming that Natalie is a witness to the murder, because you and I can't know that. You and I don't know that. We have no way of knowing if this person is indeed a murderer or not. All we're doing is assuming here. Everybody's assuming. I'm assuming. You're assuming. We're all assuming, unless we are eyewitnesses to his misdeeds, and we're eyewitnesses to everything else, and we're not. What Natalie went on to say, that even the family members should have been taken out as well. You know, it says here it was family members who called the police officers because he was threatening them. I'm only sorry he didn't take out these family members. No, that is a very, very sad comment to make, Natalie. You know, and even if the family members call the police has no right to murder anyone. They have no right to execute anyone. They're not here to execute anyone. Now, what I'm seeing, I've watched 4 different videos on the subject. And what I saw, Mr. Harper, throughout the entire process was that the police demonstrated a lack of ability. There's no reason why the suspect should be cuffed front ways. There's no reason why the suspect should be later having one handcuff on and one off. There's no reason why the police foot should be through the hand of the handcuff. There's no reason why the police should be holding his head with one hand and still trying to do a number of other things as opposed to dealing with the suspect fully. There's no reason why the other police officer should be so close up to the suspect with his rifle or M16 or whatever it was, in the mouth of it, in its proximity. And they're both very close to the suspect and carrying on with a number of little antics, you know, going around, even talking with the other people in the area. And it was so unprofessional, so lacking in competence, so lacking in training. Now, what bothered me is when I listened to your news article, I hear the gentleman that was speaking, who is obviously in a higher rank, commending the police for their... Now, if these are the kind of leaders the police have... Now, I'm from St. Elizabeth, and I'm very disappointed with the police, the way they've handled this. And here is a senior commanding officer commending. What he should be saying, is, we're going to seriously investigate this matter to make sure we have a full understanding of what is happening. But instead, he's commending, which means he's telegraphing to other police officers that this is okay. This behavior is acceptable. These police officers, you can take this video and carry it to the training school and show the children how, show the other students how, how to behave, how to handle a criminal, how to handle a suspect.
Right, a suspect who is resisting arrest, who is quote unquote wanted. This is how we deal with that situation.
Exactly. I mean, that is to me, that is what I'm seeing. It's the whole issue is that the police high command, as well as the Minister of National Security, is telling our police officers to behave in a way that is unprofessional, unbecoming, and is only going to make matters worse. Because here's the fact. When the family members and friends of the suspect sees the police behave this way, they lose respect for the police. They lose confidence in the police. And so the police will not get the kind of support from the community that they need to get from the community going forward. Yeah?
Yeah.
So that's correct, Michi. I was shocked as well. Ken Francis says, Natalie, even if he shoot him, why 4 shots and not just 1? Very good question, Ken Francis. Why not shoot him in the leg?
Exactly. Why not shoot in the leg? Why 4 shots in the body? Clearly,
exactly.
this was
he wanted to kill him.
He wanted to kill him.
I saw the police literally trying to give him opportunities to give them a reason to kill him. That's what I saw. They give him every opportunity they put their gun in his reach. They behaved in a manner, they move around with him, give him a lot of time to become acclimatized to the situation. At one point you had him upright and face to face with the police, supposedly to get him in the vehicle. So I don't see here professionals at all. I don't see professional police officers. I don't see well-trained police officers. I don't see intelligent police officers. But then again, they may be very intelligent, and they're intelligently carrying out an assassination. They're trying to make sure that it appears as though the fellow is resisting arrest, appears as though their lives are threatened, and appear as though they were just retaliating to protect lives, and as a result had to murder this suspect. But in my eyesight, from where I'm sitting, from my observation, it is clear to me that the police behaved very unprofessionally, demonstrated a huge amount of incompetence, and they should be tried. They should be investigated, tried, and charged for murder. And if when all the investigation is done, that is the fact, then that is the fact. I don't know for sure, but the evidence that I can see suggests to me that the police carried out an extrajudicial killing. This was not proper and normal police work at all.
So let's go to the question then. What should the police have done? I think you had a video, Mr. Patterson, of how you properly arrest someone who who you figure is, someone wanted, someone who's dangerous.
A suspect. Before we go there, let's look at some of the comments that are coming in. Let's look at a few of them. I see Marilyn Fletcher saying, eradicate all threats to the citizens of Jamaica and the police, and that's my opinion. I'm not sure what Marilyn means by that. Marilyn, what do you mean by eradicate all threats? Who assesses the threat? How do we determine what the threat is, and how do we eradicate the threat? Mitchie,
what about the police who got killed recently? Those criminals shall not be spared.
Absolutely. Patriotic vibes. This is not a question of whether we need to fight crime. All crimes and all criminals must be brought to justice. Whether those crimes are committed by civilians or committed by the police, all crimes should be dealt with as such. We should not lower the standards of proper policing simply because we have a crime problem. You cannot decide to lower the standards, to say we should not pay attention to due process anymore. We should not ensure proper due diligence. We should not ensure proper policing techniques simply because we have a crime problem. Now, you might be saying that now, that, just get rid of them. When it happens to you now, or a family member of yours, because the truth is, any little boy can be walking on the street in the wrong place at the wrong time, maybe misidentified by the police. He looks like somebody that they think they're looking for. Sharp, him head roly, him pants dropping off his bottom, whatever it is. Him don't look like somebody that everybody wants to respect. Do we want police officers to simply grab those persons, get in a tussle with them, and the first outcome is to shoot them because they appear to be and could be identified as possibly a suspect? We don't want that. We want proper policing.
Yes, another comment here. Both hands were handcuffed in front of him. Somehow one hand got free, then he reached for the officer's gun.
Absolutely. So for example, let's say one hand got free. How? Is it that the police did not fasten the handcuff properly?
Right.
Is it that you had time to weasel his hand out the way they were handling him? Why? Not sure. Now, Natalie is saying, how come the UIC never talk about the 2 police officers that got killed? There are many other persons who were killed that we have not spoken about either. This is one case where we have video evidence that shows clearly how the police interacted with the suspect, and we can speak to that with greater clarity. If you get a report that says 2 police officers were killed or 2 persons were killed, and you don't have any public videos going around that we can speak to, then of course it's going to be a very different situation. But in all cases, we're completely opposed to anyone being murdered, whether they're police officers or they're civilians, whether they're suspects or not suspects. We're against all murders. What we want is justice.
Right.
Any other comments? I think there are some other comments further down that we may have missed.
Yes. So Natalie is saying, oops, sorry, wrong one.
Now go on to somebody else, because I see Natalie's position. She is simply completely committed to us destroying order. We must not have due process. We must simply kill people because they look like a thief. We should have them be murdered. If they look like a thief, just shoot them. If them not fit our description of being okay, we must just have the police go around and kill them.
Officers are trained to shoot at body mass. Sadly, that is the midsection area. Hands and feet are hard to shoot. If the officer misses, an innocent bystander could get injured or killed.
I think our officers need proper training. Sorry, Cali, we're not going for the one. We're not accept the one, Cali. They clearly could have shot the fella in his foot if they wanted to.
They were close to him. It's not like he was in a crowd. They were right.
If they can't shoot a man so close to the foot, then something wrong with them.
Yeah. If there's a criminal in my family and he's a threat to society, same treatment. So we have a lot of people that are. What's this? I'm from St. Elizabeth, born and bred, and I have no SM.
I'm from St. Elizabeth, born and bred, and I live and I have no sympathy. So Dornet has no sympathy. I wonder why nobody ever they don't even know the man. I don't know this fellow. Yeah. I don't know the fellow. I know what that means because him naked and look natty and the pants that drop off.
Yeah.
He fits the profile.
Yeah.
And we're ready to we're already I don't know the facts. He has not been tried in a court of law. I have not heard witness testimonies. I have not heard people present a case. All I have heard is that he's a wanted man. Suppose tomorrow morning you all hear that Mr. Patterson is a wanted man. Does that mean I'm guilty?
Right.
Suppose I run out of my house with only my underpants on and my hair is not combed, and you see some police hauling and pulling me and they're trying to put a handcuff on me. Does that mean I'm guilty? I have no idea. I don't know this man. I don't know. And there are many young people in Jamaica, many young people. They may have committed soft crimes, hard crimes. I don't know. But why do we as a people not want due process?
Yeah.
I have been hearing this, Mr. Harper, from I was a boy, from I was a baby at Blake Road in downtown Kingston. I've been hearing people lauding the police for murdering people they consider to be bad men. They say gunman, bad men. And they've been happy. And they've talked about, man, they bust him up, and the people have been so engaged in encouraging this kind of slackness where the police must just kill people because they happen to believe or know, some of them say they know, that they're bad men. Let these bad men come to justice, if possible. If they're firing on the police, of course you fire back.
Right.
If they threaten your life, of course you take action. But in this particular instance, I saw where the police had a clear advantage and should have been able to subdue this man and bring him to justice and let us hear what he has done and have him be tried for his possible misconduct and go to jail or suffer the consequences.
Yeah. Calligraphy says, with situations happening in JA, a whole bag of people are there. First, police need better training to contain an area, keep onlookers at a safe distance, talk to the person in distress. All these comments are coming by real fast. Lee says, in my opinion, the guy was already handcuffed. There is no way the altercation should have led to fatality. Let justice prevail.
Absolutely, absolutely, lady, you are a person of great wisdom. You are thinking clearly. We cannot afford to let our emotions. You see, our emotions will give the police carte blanche cover to commit all kind of atrocities and murders.
Yeah.
You do not want your police to get to the place where they think society wants them to go out there and murder people that they think should be murdered.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you, before I show you the video of how a police should work, I want to show you another video about how a police behaved to a man that is, let's say is a bad man, I don't know, that later on was killed. Listen, look at how the police dealt with this person. I want you to see clearly why we need to be very, very careful about where we're heading with this thing. Let me see here. Here we go. Watch this carefully.
What you know about me? 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 Tell a friend and say, anytime you enter me, you all know what you got. One of the blood clot, dead.
Okay, so that is the police. That is a police assessing a Jamaican citizen. Now, let's say the person he's addressing, by the way, the bad man was quite calm, quite collected, and here was the good man. Remember, the bad man is this guy, the good man is the police officer. Here's the good man speaking to a citizen the way that he just did. Is this the kind of policing we want in our country? Somebody just said that I'm talking about utopia. It's not utopia. It's called professionalism. It's called being a professional. We need our police officers to be up here,
right,
even if the citizens are down here.
Right.
We want our police officers because we're giving them great authority. We're giving them the right to use force. We're giving them guns. We're giving them authority over others. We do not want that kind of police behavior in our society. And these are the behaviors which are along the path. And as long as we're doing this, notice we're not solving the crime problem. You could have bust more of them, bust more and bust more. All you're doing is widening the gap between the citizens. Yes, it makes you feel good that they're busting another one, but it's not fixing the problem. I want to encourage us to step back from this emotionalism that the Minister of National Security play us with. Yes, that's why he phrases. He wanted emotional support by saying or implying shoot to kill, because he knows that's where we are emotionally. They have driven us to this point. They have pushed us to this point. And then when they are ready, did you know that these very same politicians create murderers? These same politicians in the hands of our young men, these same politicians sit down and have meetings with gang leaders and guns. These same politicians use them to manage communities and call them garrisons to bring out the vote. And then they come on television with their jackets and their ties and come talk, and they're ready to play on our emotions like they really want to get rid of the crime problem. If we really want to get rid of the crime problem, we need to have a police service instead of continuing the colonial era police force, where the police does not see the citizens as citizens or sovereign with rights that they should be protecting. The police sees themselves as a brute force element, not there to serve and protect the people or to respect the people, but to carry out all kinds of commands that are not necessarily consistent with respecting our sovereignty as individuals. And that's not utopia. That's why in some other countries, they have less crime rate than us, and they have better policing than us, and they have a safer environment than us. We want to learn from them. We don't want to continue. What you're seeing here is a continuation of what has been going on before I was born.
Exactly.
Same thing, year after year after year. It makes you feel good that they bust one more, but then they're going to have to bust many more because the system is producing more and more criminals. For every one that they kill, only more come.
Yep.
Over to you, Mr. Harper.
So I would love to, Patriotic Vibe says, fear keeps a man honest. These criminals have no fear for the law or regard for other people's lives. Yes, but that doesn't give the police the right to be acting the way they're acting. As Mr. Patterson is saying, there is due diligence, and part of the police training is to follow the law, follow that due diligence. And if you as a police, if you're going to allow the police to act out of the law, then that's just the same thing that the criminals are doing.
That's lawlessness.
That is
lawlessness.
So if you are acting out of the law, the criminals are acting out of the law. Killing the criminals is not going to stop it, because more criminals are being bred by
exactly.
the system. So we kind of need to really look at it from, as Mr. Patterson says, let's not get emotional, and it's easy to get emotional because there's so much happening in the country. But let's really look at it from a point of view of safety and what really will bring about the Jamaica that we want. What are the policy plans that will bring that? Yes, Mr. Patterson.
Many of those persons who are having a problem with this issue, they're saying things like, you need to think about the police officers. They have families too. Their lives matter as well. Of course.
Yes, of course.
We 100% care about the lives of every Jamaican. That's why we're asking. That's why we're demanding. That's why we're going to put in place a system of governance where law and order prevail within the police and within the society.
Right.
We must not allow criminals to take over our society, and we must not allow our police to become criminals in the society. Yeah. We don't want legalized criminals, and we don't want illegal criminals. We want a law and order society where the police does what a police should do, decently and in order, following clear guidelines, appropriate training, so that they can truly protect and serve our people. Now, I'm going to show you one more example.
Before you get to that, Mr. Patterson,
yes, sure.
Question here. What would your plan be for all these criminals who are running rampant in the communities? Marlene Fletcher.
We're going to come to that in a little bit. When we talk about the UIC tune, we're going to talk about the UIC plan for how to manage crime. If the UIC plan was in place, you would not have criminals rampant in the society. So we're going to show you how that is done. But before I go there, I want to show you one more video. This video is going to show you, again, how the police has dealt with situations that should cause you to be very, very concerned. Okay? Watch carefully. And don't get me wrong, this is not about bashing the police. We already know about the criminals. We must deal with the criminals. We must eradicate crime and criminality. That we must do. We cannot do it, though, by causing our police to be criminals too.
Right.
That is too dangerous. We don't want two sets of criminals. We want one set of criminals. Criminals who are outside the law and we want the police which operates within the law. Okay, so watch this carefully. I'm going to share this video with you now, and we can take a look at that. Okay, here we go.
School me today. I'm a different man and the man come deal with me, sir. This boy, I come tell me say I'm a bad man, I'm a bad man. I'm a bad man. I'm a bad man. What kind of police that? What kind of police that you can tell me say I'm a bad man and they shoot me over the wall? Over the wall, man. Shoot me, no brother. I'm backing up. Never touch him at all, you know. I'm not touch him at all. The man shoot me over the wall, you know. All right. Come here, different. Because the man are dead this morning. A different in the school pin them. I'm a different man and the man come deal with me, sir. Bad man, the front town police.
Okay, so there you have it. One more incident where the police thought they have the right to like dons. This is how you have like people in the mafia behave, eh? They just come and they just do whatever. Is that the kind of policing we want in Jamaica? I say no. What do you say, Mr. Harper?
I agree with you 100%. As you said, the police are behaving like they are drug dons, mafias. They just come and do whatever they feel like, and because they have, well, now they have the full backing of, you know, the ministry or the minister saying, you know, they're just going to let it all out. You can't do anything, you know. This is not what is going to help to curb crime. You know, it feels good because yes, we kill another one or we get rid of this guy, but that is just going to breed more, you know. So
somebody,
it's not working.
Someone just said that I would never get her a vote because I sympathize with criminals. So, but maybe she sympathizes with criminals too, because I guess if the police is doing something criminal, that's criminal.
Right.
So, you know, I have no sympathy at all for anyone who has committed any crime at all. What I do know is that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yep. We
cannot afford for our police officers to have absolute power. We must have a check and a balance on everybody's power. And if we're not careful, we become a police, we become a state where we become afraid of police. I know many Jamaicans are afraid of the police. Now, when I was arrested the other day on September 22nd, I did not resist arrest, but they treated me as though I was resisting arrest. When they took me into the lockup area, they wanted my phone, okay? And when I got there, I had my phone with me. No one said anything to me about my phone. I was sitting in the waiting area, waiting for them to complete their processing. And so I was on my phone and I said, come off of the phone. That's their response. And then he walks over there and he boxes my phone out of my hand. Now, is that the way we want the police officers to treat Jamaicans? I was not fighting with him. I was not arguing with him. The reason he got upset is because he asked me some questions. He asked me my name, my address, my occupation, and he asked me something else. And I dared to ask him. I didn't see the relevance of what he was asking me. I can't recall now what it was. And I dared to ask him why he's asking me that question, why he needs to know that. I should never dare ask any question. How dare you? You know who I am? That was his attitude. Do you know who I am? Right. You don't ask me any questions. I am the God here. I am the Lord Jesus Christ, and you don't ask me any questions. And so he got up with a rage. Give me the phone. The phone wasn't the issue. We're talking about the phone. I mean, I didn't know that I shouldn't have my phone in the area that they have me. And he came, he boxed my phone, almost the phone, it fell on the ground, everything, and they took it up. They took away my microphone, never saw it again. They took me into an area, not a proper search area, an area that was semi-open to the public, and stripped me because they have no respect, no regards for the citizens of this country. Is that the kind of policing we want in Jamaica? Do we want that kind of policing here, my fellow Jamaicans? Be careful what you condone. Be careful what you ask for. Right now, it may be the guy in him underpants, I drop off, and him brief, I drop off, and him naked, and him look bad. But tomorrow, it may be you.
Yep.
You may get caught in the crosshairs of the police. They may decide to stop you somewhere, and you dare to ask a question. Mr. Officer, why are you stopping me? And you might be shocked at what you get for asking the question, why are you being stopped? I remember when I was a teenager, I was about maybe 16, 17, or 18. My brother was accused of something by somebody, and the police came to our house, my mother's house, little house in the Seaview Gardens, and they racked down the grill. My mother came out shaking. Open the place, open the place. They were very disrespectful to her. She opened the grill and they barged in. No, she opened the grill, they put into the veranda, and they draped up my mother. Just imagine a little boy seeing this. I am 16, 17. And they grabbed my mother in her chest and drape her up to ask, where's her other son? Now, to me, it seemed quite simple. Hello, Miss Williams, we're here for this person. Do you see him? Is he inside? Okay? Or they could even barge past her if they feel like it was a threat. They could barge by her and run in and pull their guns and check everywhere. But they chose to drape up this little lady. She had no gun. She had no nothing. This is the kind of Jamaica I don't want. I'm not talking about a utopia. I'm talking about a Jamaica with a police that respects the rights and freedoms of our citizens. A Jamaica with a well-trained police service that knows how to deal with apprehending criminals or suspected criminals or anybody at all. How to do so professionally, tactically, strategically, and effectively. I don't want to see a replay of what we watched earlier in those various videos. That's not the kind of policing we want.
Right.
Every citizen must be treated with respect. And if you're apprehending a citizen who is resisting arrest, there's a technique, there's a way, there's a process. And we must make sure we hold our police accountable, or we're going to be very, very sad with the outcome. So now I want to show you a video of how the police could have and should have effectively dealt with this situation, which would have likely resulted in no one being killed. We want a police service not a police force. And the UIC is going to give Jamaica that. Let's take a look at this video and watch carefully, step by step, how if these two police officers did what this one person did. This is one person now arresting one other person. One person arresting one person. In this case, we had two police officers arresting one person. You tell me after you watch this video, if these two police officers could not have done a far better job than what you're about to see now. Instead, the two officers could not make one. They violated every principle in the book as to how you should apprehend a dangerous suspect. Dangerous, I'm using the word. How you should apprehend a very, very dangerous suspect. Here's a one person dealt with apprehending one very dangerous suspect. If he's I don't know the details, but let's assume he was very, very dangerous. We're going to show you how one person should deal with that. And then you tell me if these two police officers have dealt with this suspect professionally, effectively, strategically to avoid having to kill him or him killing them. Watch carefully and let me know what you think after this. I can assure you that after watching this, you should have a very, very different perspective on how the police should have conducted themselves. Let's take a look.
Defensive tactics technique of the week. Today we're going to be looking at prone handcuffing and techniques. All right, we're going to take a look at some prone handcuffing techniques. There's a lot of different techniques I've seen. These are a couple that I'm familiar with that seem to work fairly well. The bottom line is you want to establish control by placing him at a position of disadvantage, and you want to make everything favor you. And hopefully you're going to do this with several other officers on scene to give you a hand. But what this would start out with initially is making the suspect go into a prone position. Get your hands up, higher. Get on one knee. Get on your other knee. Place both hands on the ground in front of you. Slide your feet out to where you're laying flat. Put your arms out to the side. Cross your ankles. Look to your, what would that be? Your right. Good. And for demonstration purposes, I'm much closer to him than I would prefer to do as I do this, but we're just trying to keep everything on film here. So at this point, I'm going to approach him and I'm going to grab. I'm grabbing in this manner here, bringing him up this way, and then at that point I'm going to holster my firearm. I could even holster sooner if I have other people that have their guns trained on him. A simple way to do this, and I can already tell Frank's sweating a little bit and he's all torqued up, so I'm going to try to be quick and not talk as much as I tend to. I'm going to bring this other hand here as well. I'm going to move into position here where I reach under and achieve this position here. Notice my knee is on his back, but I don't have weight on it, right, Frank? I'm going to let you relax for a second here. I don't have much weight right here, right? It's your arm that mainly hurts. The higher up you raise his arm from his back, and the more you raise his arm toward his head, the more he's going to feel that. Now from here, I'm going to get my handcuffs out. I'm going to handcuff upside down and away. Then I'm going to catch this here like this. I'm going to sweep his back. So I make sure he doesn't have any weapons. Give me your other hand, sir. Achieve a shaking hand grip, and right here, there the handcuffs are on. Now from there, searching him, pretty simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hook underneath here, roll him up onto his side, and conduct, again, my thorough, systematic search, doing it the same way every time. I'm going to put him down like this. I'm not going to step over him, because if he stands up, it's going to be bad for me. So what I'm going to do is move around to the other side. From here, I'm going to pull him up. Again, conduct my thorough, systematic quadrant search. Now from there, I'll go around to the other side so you can see what I'm doing. You can place your knee down here, bring his foot up, and search the leg area really well. If you don't have your knee here, there's a good chance something like this could happen as you're bent down trying to search. So these are some things to keep in mind. If a guy's a real bad guy, or he just committed a heinous crime, he's known to be armed, direct him down into prone position, tell him not to move, and wait for cover. When cover's there, you can use this prone handcuffing and search technique. Okay, we're going to show you an alternate prone handcuffing technique. Now, once I've established this control hold here, rather than switching hands, stepping in here and reaching underneath like we did before, some people find that to be a little difficult. This way, it doesn't require any changing of your hands. It does require a little bit of fancy footwork though. What I'm going to do is step over here, here, and then his hand just ends up in the same position. I'll show you that one more time. Again, I'm here. I don't have to do any fancy hand changes. All I'm going to do is step over here, here, and just bring his hand into position just like this. So that's an alternate method if you don't want to be switching hands prior to handcuffing.
Okay, great. So while the video was playing, there was some person, that person isn't resisting, and so they're trying to say that this is a controlled environment, and so it looks nice and clinical. What you probably don't know and weren't aware of, every position in which he holds the hands and the fingers and stuff is a delicate position. There are actually techniques that disables and disarms the victim or suspect. Okay, so he's showing you, of course, the person not moving up and down. He's telling you how he's preventing the person from moving. He's also making it clear that if you have more than one police officers, you know we're in a better position. If it's a very dangerous criminal, then you know that you're going to put them in the surrendered position and you call for backup and so on. These two police officers were fully in charge of the situation. They were the ones allowing the gentleman, the suspect, to behave in ways. They were allowing him a lot of room to maneuver. They had not taken away from him his mobility. They had not suppressed him sufficiently. They were playing with him, toying with him, creating all kinds of opportunities for him to do things that they know or ought to have known would have resulted in an escalated situation. They placed themselves actually and those around them in harm's way in the way that they have dealt with the situation or failed to deal with the situation. So let us be very careful. Another person pointed out, rightly so, that unfortunately, a number of persons in our police force right now are not necessarily the best and the brightest. They're not necessarily well educated. So it's a pity. And I don't mean this as a disrespect or disregard to any police officers, but it's also true that a career in the police force is normally one of a last resort for many people. They go there because they could not have gotten a job anywhere else, and so they got into the police force and they are there. I have been around police for some time now. I have met some very bright, intelligent police officers. In fact, recently, when I was at a function at Todd's, I met one very, very intelligent, bright police superintendent that was quite impressive. If you were to talk to him and go through his background and his accomplishment, you would be so impressed. And I was very impressed talking with him. Then I met other police officers, in court and on my way and dealing with, and you're like, how did this person ever get in? I mean, what test was this person able to pass to be in a position of such authority? Sometimes you hear them on television giving reports and talking, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's a police officer. So we know that we have some challenges in the force in terms of not everybody there is a bright spark. So some may not have taken well to the training. Some should never have passed the training. Some should never be on our streets. I also learned recently that there might be an accelerated training program where they're actually not being trained fully and thoroughly, and they're just being passed out onto the streets. So they don't have the psychological competence, the mental competence, the mental acuity to really do policing work. You really have just some rough people with power. You've now given them a gun and a badge, and you've placed them in a position where they will not know how to deal with. They're really thugs. They're no more than criminals with legal authority to go around as a police officer. So we do have some serious problems there. And if you watch this video carefully, I did not see any indication of those basic training happening. If the training happened, that gentleman would have been in handcuffs properly. His hands would have been behind his back. He would have been held in a way that caused him to be not able to effectively maneuver to reach for anybody's weapon anywhere. But unfortunately, that level of training was not on demonstration. So it's either the police were incompetent or they were willfully negligent to create a situation where they could murder this suspect. Whether he's a bad man or not is not the issue. It is whether or not the police acted appropriately and murdered this person or were truly just defending themselves.
Great point, Mr. Pattison. There's a comment here that I wanted to. So again, Patriotic Vibes is saying, did you see any citizens rushing down on the police in that encounter? No, and that's exactly why we're saying, you know, there clearly was no training, because 2 police officers should have been able to apprehend this person. And if you look at the size of the person compared to the police, they should have been able to apprehend this person without any of this happening.
Exactly. Dwight Robinson here is saying that's not a good video to compare with the guy. The guy would not comply. There is no way he would do that. Seriously, this was not about the guy complying.
Yeah.
So let's say what the police officers did in this video was done with that young man. So the police found him, point the gun at him, and say to him, put your hands up, spread your legs, blah, blah, blah. Let's say he didn't do any of that, but attacked the police. Then you shoot him. Argument done. Exactly. Right? If he attacked the police, but from what I could see, he allowed the police to get very close to him. He allowed the police to put on some level of cuffing on him. And then the police paraded him outside a little bit, walk with him, play with him a little bit outside, having a jolly discussion with him, allowing him to get them into awkward positions, and then eventually shot him. Now, come on, man, be reasonable. If the police came and they said, don't move, put up your hand, turn around, and then they applied proper techniques in how to disable him by the way you hold his finger. There's a way to hold 3 of the fingers and bend it a certain way, which affects the nerve endings, affects the whole body of the person. You kind of immobilize them, you get them in a very difficult position where they submit. That's what police training is about. The police must know more than me and you. They must know how to disable, how to disarm, how to subdue somebody. Exactly. Don't rely on your baby knowledge, your basic knowledge, and you're saying, oh, it should have been this, should have been that. We're talking about trained police, should be trained police officers. Yeah. If they are trained, they would know self-defense. They would know more than me and you. I have some training. I have done martial arts to a certain degree, and I learned about some of the ways to hold people and cause them to be immobilized. So I've learned a little bit of that. I have done gun training, so I know how to operate that. I have done a number of things. So these guys must know more than me, must know way more than me, because they have been to police academy and full training. But when I watched that video, I didn't see 1 ounce of police training coming out. I didn't see any indication. None of the steps that they took demonstrated that they have received effective police, effective self-defense, effective criminal response training. I have not seen, all I saw was the ability to shoot at close range, which they carried out with precision.
Yeah.
They shot him at close range with precision. It was no itch. Where the itch was how they conducted themselves from point A to point B, where they finally shot him. My friends, do not be fooled. Let us not allow our government and our poorly led police force to deceive us into joining in, allowing them to become legalized criminals. We can only deal with one set of criminals. We have political criminals, we have civilian criminals, and now we're building a force of legal police criminals. We cannot afford it. We must oppose it. We must demand the highest standards of our police, the highest standard of our men and women in uniform, and ensure that when they carry out their duties, we can be proud of them, we can stand behind them, we can trust them, and we can work with them for all of our safety.
Yeah. So having said all of that, how will the UIC, or how would the UIC train our officers? We're saying that the officers need to be trained. Is it that we're going to retrain the whole force, or are we just going to, retrain some people? How is the UIC going to deal with this issue when we become government?
The UIC is going to obviously change the mandate, the mission, the vision, the structure, the promotion system, the compensation system, the kind of equipment that the police officers use. We believe first and foremost, your police service must be staffed by some of the best and brightest in our country. We must make being a police officer one of the highest profession and careers in Jamaica. Police and teachers, you don't joke with. Those are two very important professions. So you must treat police officers like professionals. You must make it hard for bad people to make it in the police, to get into the police. Make it easy for good people. You must make it a place where persons with integrity, ethics, morals, persons who have the highest intellectual stamina and ability, who will understand psychology and human behavior and can effectively differentiate between criminals and law-abiding civilians, can show respect, can serve and protect at the same time. So a new training program. You also have to change the way you design the police service, right? So it needs to now become a community-based thing. It should not be where the police is an intervener into a community. The police need to be a part of the community. So we're going to have community policing, where the police is fully engaged in the life of the community. The football clubs, the police youth clubs, the church, the community center, the municipality, really involved in the day-to-day life. So that way they can spot problems before they happen and head them off. So you want the police to know all the children in the community, know their parents, know the pastor and the church and the members of the church, and be a part of the community. So you want your police living in the community and being a key part of it. You also want to make sure police are compensated so that they're highly respected. So when a person makes it into the police service, everybody respects him because they know he's gone through rigorous training. They know that he's bright and they know that he's well paid. They can see that he can buy a decent house, buy a decent car, send his kids to school properly, have proper healthcare coverage, all these things that makes him somebody that everybody respect. When he goes to the school to give, a talk at the graduation or at the career day, everybody in the community must be looking up to him, looking up to her, because they know that here's a man or woman of integrity, a person who has earned their stripes by merit, a person who is well trained, polished, and is able to deal with the people in a very respectful manner. And when it's time for him to be tough, he can be tough, but he also understands human behavior, understands people, builds good relationships, and focuses on prevention rather than cure. So he's involved in the prevention business. Yeah. So we're going to change our police entirely to be a community-focused situation.
Yes, Mr. Patterson. DWise is saying, I can't sympathize with criminals who are killing and terrorizing law-abiding citizens. Police will kill all of them because the court's putting them back on the street. And
so D-Ways, the problem is if the courts are putting them back on the street, why do you not deal with the courts? Why do you want the police to become judge, jury, and executioner? Don't you see that you're creating a serious problem?
Yeah.
Don't you see that you're calling down all kinds of problems on your head, my friend? You are asking for what you cannot endure. If you ever get our police to fully buy into what you just said, you yourself will be weeping and mourning with gnashing of teeth when you realize what that means for any country that allows that to happen.
Yes, because it may start with just the criminals, but then
Yes.
when the law extends to other people now, when certain things that you're doing now becomes illegal, and the police
Exactly.
come to you, and you're resisting arrest, and now this is what happens. We're opening up a huge bag of worms that we really don't want to go down this road.
No.
Yes. So you were saying the police, how the UIC would train the new police force or police service, I should say, getting the police involved in the community, and really building on community policing, getting them involved in the churches and the youth groups, etc., so that we the community will be able to look up to the police. Right now we have a situation where the people in the community hate the police.
Yeah. And also many of the young children in the community, they don't see any reason to respect the police. The
Right.
police is not. The police is feared and or hated. They don't see the police as a part of their lives.
Yeah.
We must make sure. I think somebody was saying it in the comment here or there that long time ago police used to be highly respected. That's what we want. I want, when you see a police officer, if you're a law-abiding citizen, your heart doesn't skip a beat. You
Right.
don't feel anyway because you know that they're there to serve and protect you. You know that the police understand that you're a sovereign individual, that the right to your life, liberty, and property is what he's there to protect. He's not there to abuse you. He's not there to treat you as if you are a second-class citizen and he's superior and you are inferior. He's there to serve you. And because he's there to serve you and he does serve you, you respect him. And guess what? If the government doesn't respect the police, we won't respect them either. So if they don't hire the best, train the best, equip them with the best, and pay them properly, then we won't respect them.
Right.
When a police officer in a community have to run a bar on the side. Yeah. When a police officer have to run a bar on the side, and people know that him even break the law with fee bar, or him a run
Taxi.
sound system on the side, or him a run taxi, and fee taxi get to break all the laws and any other taxi suffer. When you create that kind of environment, you get what we're getting now in Jamaica. So people, stop looking at the optics. Look at the reality of Jamaica. Let us get below the surface thinking. Let's cut out the surface thinking now. It's 50 years, well, since I was born. It's before that, but at least I know I have seen it. For the last 45 years, I have witnessed what I'm talking about. Our system, our country, the way it has been designed, the way it has been managed by these two parties, they have brought out the absolute worst out of us.
Yeah.
The absolute worst.
Yeah.
And that is why the vision of the UIC, our vision statement, do you remember the vision statement, Harper? The vision statement, remember it?
Yes, to bring out a Jamaica that brings out the best in all of us.
Yes, a Jamaica that brings out the best in all its people. We're very deliberate when we did that. When we made our vision statement, a Jamaica that brings out the best in all its people, it's because we know that the current Jamaica, the current design, the current systems that they have given us, that they have established and enforced upon us, that system brings out the worst in our people. It brings out the worst in our police. It brings out the worst in our teachers. It brings out the worst in our citizens right across the board. And we need to get to the bottom line of that. We need to find the problem. And the UIC has found the problem. It's called bad governance. And now we want to fix it. In the police section, by making it a police service that is community-based, that is based on merit. Right now in the police service, the police force, right now, for you to go up in the system, is friend and company, is politics that cause you to get promoted. Yeah?
Yeah.
And the commissioner is appointed politically. And then they play politics in terms of how you can raise up the rank. So a person who is diligently being a true blue, honest, moral, ethical, good police officer won't make it up the ranks for the most part. One or two might get through, but the large majority won't. You have to be playing the game, the corrupt game. And then those who are playing the corrupt game, they get to climb up the ladder. We have to cut out that. We have to have what is called a meritocracy in every area of Jamaica. You must rise up through the ranks because of merit, because you merit it, because you earn it. And we have to get that mindset in our people. The mindset of you get up in life because you have earned it, not because of political connections or political favors and them kind of trickery there.
Yes. Question here from Ms. Zook. So what happens with the hitman police who go around killing people? How we deal with that?
Yeah, absolutely. That is why we're talking about this. We need to have, if we don't design a police service that keeps the police in check, the hitmen will get away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as we have a corrupt police system, you're going to have corrupt police officers getting away with it. And as long as we, the people, ignorantly and foolishly give our tacit support to these bad cops, bad policing, we must make sure we do not give them any support. We must call for justice. We must call for integrity. We must call for transparency. We must call for proper investigation of the police to make sure that they're doing their policing properly.
All guys saying community policing should be implemented in involvement with school programs and community events. The military police commissioner never even talk about this.
Exactly. You should not have a military person as police commissioner.
Exactly.
He's not trained to do policing. He's not trained. A military officer sees every conflict as combat. Okay? Yeah. Policing is not about combat. When you have good policing, you see, what you have is a symbiotic relationship between the police and the community. What you have is more, what's the word now? Here's the word I'm looking for. When you have good policing, you have a lot of preventative care taking place. You have where a single mother of 3 children is going through a tough time, and because she's going through a tough time, her children are not getting the kind of attention that they should be getting. But here is this community policing in our community that cause our children to have a guardian angel that intervenes in their lives early so that they don't go down the path that they would have. Now in the UIC Jamaica, here's what happened. In the UIC Jamaica, all of those young people who are now becoming criminals have no hope. They went to secondary school. Okay, let's begin. They went to basic school. They never learned properly. The basic school teacher, they know maths and English properly. Many of our basic school teachers are not equipped to teach early childhood education. Okay, they don't go to primary school. They skip from grade to grade, and they finish the entire primary school program and can't read or write properly. A small percentage will pass and go on to traditional or well-known high school. The many others will pass as well and go on to lower level high school with less equipment and less good teachers and so on. 70% of them will leave school without many or any subjects at all. They will not have the comprehension skills, the reading skills, the analytical skills, the computation skills. They're then left out there. Jamaica has few jobs to offer them. Very few jobs. So they're going to be out there unemployed. they leave school at 18, 16, 17, 18, they'll be unemployed, unengaged, unattached for the next 5 years, from 18 to 23. What on earth do you think is going to happen? Since we have not provided for them, somebody else will. Those somebodies are called gangs and criminals. What the UIC is going to do is to make sure that when you leave high school, if you're not going into a proper post-secondary school program, you're going to be hired immediately into an apprenticeship program, a paid apprenticeship program. So if you couldn't learn anything with your head, full in a school, an academic and whatever, you would have gotten a second chance to learn on the job. And while you're learning on the job, the smarter ones will go back and do some upgrading, and others will settle into the workplace and just learn and grow in that process. But they're never going to be allowed to be idle and left to the whims and fancy of the society. So our approach is preventative. The approach of the two parties over the last 7 to 8 years has been curative. They create the problem and then pay billions of dollars to have police run up and down and try to kill as many people as possible. We don't like that approach. We want instead to be preventative. Let us get involved at the early stages. Let us get our police involved at the earliest. Let the people love and respect the police because they're a part of their lives when they were 1 year old, 5 year old, 15 year old. You want a police officer in the community who knew somebody from they were just a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he knew when he went to basic school, when he went to primary school, when he finished high school, the police was even at his graduation. Yeah. Maybe giving the guest speaker presentation. And so they know each other. And when the boys start to have little funny ways, the police is there, whether it's a male or a female, is there to say, come on, Johnny, man. You don't know, say, so with this thing. And I say, if you behave, man, respect your mother, no? You know, whatever. And the police deal, that's the kind of policing you want. Anything less gives you the Jamaica we have today.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what we've come to, unfortunately. There was a question that dealt with. Okay, so Big Jaman is asking, suppose they choose not to join the apprentice program, what then?
Right, well, they in the new Jamaica program, the UIC program, you must be doing something. We're not going to allow idleness. You have to engage in a program of your choosing, but the program can't be nothing because you have to file your tax return, you have to give an account. So we're not going to run a careless Jamaica. It's going to be a Jamaica where you're free to do what is right. You're not free to do what is wrong. So you're free to start a business, go to college, go to a trade program, go to university, or you're an apprentice. You're not free to say, well, I'm a nod or nothing. That won't be tolerated because we know what that means. I'm a nod or nothing means somebody else must pay for you. So either somebody is going to pay for your existence doing nothing, or you're going to find an alternate way to pay for doing nothing. So we want to know that every child that leaves high school, you give an account where you are go. So that the child, the parents and everything shows, okay, he's finished with high school, he's going to university, good. He's going to a college program, good. He's going to a trade school, good. He's starting this new business, it's registered and they have some partners and they're doing good. He's in a sports program. He's training to be a part of Jamaica's athletic team or bobsled team or whatever. Good. Say, I'm a nod or nothing. Not acceptable. Not in the UIC Jamaica. Everybody has to do something. Everybody will have to file a tax return. Everybody will have to give an account for why they exist in Jamaica. We will not have any more gangs. You know why? Because everybody has to give an account. Even the politicians have to give an account where your wealth come from. How is it last year your net worth was only $5 million? And this year, your net worth is now $100 million. Where did that come from? And so all of those politicians who are now getting away with everything, when the UIC win, you're free paper bond. When the UIC win, you have no more rocks to hide under, because every single politician, from the top to the bottom, from the president to the pauper, will have to give a full accounting of where every single cent of their assets came from. And if you try to hide it using somebody else, guess what? Them have to do it too. So all your friends and associates who you create shell companies and have them hiding in their shell companies, all of that will come to bear. And we're not going to be afraid to audit and audit and audit like crazy. Every Jamaican in the new Jamaica will be filing a tax return. Every single one of us, self-included. All of us must give an account for where money come from. So if your tax return shows abnormality, we will check to see what is the cause of that abnormality, because it means you did not declare something. So let's say, for example, this year, when you file your tax return, you said you had $5 million in income and your assets are $25 million, your house and stuff. No problem. The following year, you said you only had $3 million in income, but now your net asset is $100 million. And that's not related to market changes. Guys, sorry, you're not going to like me too much now because I'm an accountant. And so you're going to have a prime minister, you're going to have a president who takes accounting very seriously. So if you want a shady country, no matter vote for it. But if you want a Jamaica where transparency is the order of the day, where every last cent is accounted for, where no politicians or anybody connected to politicians or companies or criminals will be able to listen. Let's say you're a criminal and you have this wonderful mansion up in Cherry Gardens. No problem. File your tax return, declare your income, support where them assets they come from. Yeah? You can't do that? Well, there's something called the Proceeds of Crime Act that will deal with you. So you're going to find we're going to go from a very corrupt nation to zero in 1 year. You're going to see corruption drop. I exaggerated a while ago. It's not going to be zero. But you're going to see a massive drop in corruption in a very short time. The only people who are going to enjoy living in this country are those who love freedom and are accountable.
Yeah.
You love freedom and you're accountable, this will be a beautiful country for you to live in. You're a criminal, you're going to leave this country as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Back to you, Mr. Harper.
Yeah. And those are good points that you made, Mr. Patterson. A lot of people, when they hear freedom and liberty, they don't add personal responsibility to that. So they think, oh, I'm free to do this, but they don't realize that along with freedom comes personal responsibility.
Absolutely.
And so a lot there's someone in the comments talking about the government. Are you now going to be taking away their sovereignty? No, we're not taking away your sovereignty. We're respecting, protecting your sovereignty, and understanding that in your liberty there is personal responsibility along with that.
Absolutely.
You can't be just.
And that's why the UIC twins the both of them. We've never left them out. We said individual liberty and personal responsibility.
Yeah.
So in other words, if you are a law-abiding citizen, and the laws we have, by the way, our laws are always about protecting your right to your life, your liberty, and your property, to prevent anyone, government included, from using force or fraud to take away your life, your liberty, or your property. But then comes personal responsibility.
Right.
All of us will have to give an account. All of us. And this is one new government where being a politician gives you no exemptions. Being president gives you no exemptions. Being prime minister, being minister, being MP, being senator, no. You are held to the same, in fact, being in any one of these positions, you're being held to a higher standard than every other citizen. You now will be under greater microscope. Okay? I mean, when you're talking about you can't get away with corruption, you better stay out of being a politician. Because if you're a politician, you're inviting the microscope once you're a politician. If you're a police, you're inviting the microscope. Every police will be treated with the same level of stringent microscopic accountability. So the police officer today who has his job as a police and is moonlighting on the side, no problem. As long as the moonlighting on the side can stand up to the daylight of scrutiny and can be attested to properly on your tax return, and an audit will show that you're legit, especially if you have now moved up the rank of the police. So the higher up the rank you go, the higher the monkey climb, the more he's going to be exposed. So nobody will have a free ticket in this country to think that on the UIC, you're going to be free to cheat.
Right.
No.
Right.
Not at all.
So Marlon Fletcher was asking some time ago, what would your plan be for all these criminals who are running rampant in the communities?
Well, as I said before, we just talked about it. I mean, if we tighten up all the areas we're talking about, the criminals have nowhere to hide. You know, they're out of recruits. They don't have anybody to recruit. Every criminal has to file a tax return now. Right now, they're free to do anything they want. In the new Jamaica, everybody has to file a tax return. If you don't file one, you're a criminal. Yeah, you have not filed your tax return. You haven't given account for your time in Jamaica. So there's a problem there. Yeah.
Speak a little bit to the whole ID system, because how are we going to be able to track our criminals? I mean, how will we be able to keep track of who's where and when?
No, we don't need to keep track of who is where and when. All we're going to do, every country needs a national ID. The problem with the NIDS program is that they were trying to create something that's more than a national ID. They were trying to create something that was encroaching on your personal rights and freedom, on your privacy. They wanted to go really too far. Right now in Jamaica, we do have identification, but it's in pieces. You have a birth certificate that is not properly done. You have driver's license for those who drive. You have a TRN number for those who choose to get one. You have a passport for those who choose to get a passport. What else? And now you have this NIDS thing. The UIC will have a proper identification system, which is going to follow you from birth. So the moment you're born, you'll have a national ID, which will be updated frequently in the early years and less as you get older, right? So you have less, except in the latter years. And so that will be a proper ID that is properly registered in the system, identifies who you are. So we don't have to use any JP or anything like that anymore. And it's legitimate. You will have renewed this process every year when you file your tax return, because you're filing your return, so we know, okay, whatever. Your ID must carry your current address. So whenever you change address, you have 30 days in which to get your ID updated. Failing to do so, you would have been in violation of the law, and you can be fined for that. So your ID is going to behave like a driver's license. You carry it around with you, so that if you meet in an accident or if you're stopped by the police for whatever, you have proper ID, so you can be properly ticketed for something you have done wrong, if that's the case, or you show an ID for whatever it is that you're doing. So a very ordinary ID thing, not an ID system that's designed for control, but one that's designed truly for identification. right? For ID, not for control, for ID. So you go to the bank to open account. When you show that ID, the bank should accept it. They shouldn't say, get JP and get whatever references and all kind of foolishness. Your ID will be your ID. It says Douglas Harper, and it means Douglas Harper, who lives at 123 Any Street in Maypen, at this quadrant in Maypen, and that's good to go. Very simple.
I guess fixed addresses will go along with this. It would be a lot easier to find people when they have a fixed address.
So right now, you know that's a big platform to make sure everybody's addressed. It is unbelievable that in the 21st century, in 2022, we still don't have every Jamaican having a fixed address. By the way, the Prime Minister is now talking about that. He never realized it all these years ago. But since the UIC has brought it up, he's now saying it. What a bunch of people, eh? My goodness. They need some help.
All right, guys. So we've come to the end of our program. It's 1 hour and 35 minutes. Just want to thank you all for staying on with us. It's been a very emotional topic. You know, a lot of people had things to say, but we hope you guys understood, really got a full understanding of what the UIC's position is and how you know, the police that we have, or the force that we have now, is really not operating under the best training or the best ways of doing things and going about things, and that is spurring the kind of Jamaica that we're seeing unfold as we go along. So, Mr. Patterson, I want to thank you for coming on and joining us. And please, guys, remember to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And of course, share the UIC with as many people. Mr. Patterson, you have anything to say?
Two things. One, somebody is telling me not to share too much of my ideas. I'm going to share no more. I'm not sharing it. You know why I'm sharing it? Let them talk about it. Because when they talk about it and don't deliver, we will talk about it too. And we'll say to the people, you know you can't trust them. They have had 78 years to do it and them to do it. So no matter what I tell you, don't believe them. It's our time now to do it. Allow us and we will do it. Let them talk about it. Because if they talk about it, they can't then say that what the UIC says is foolishness. They have vindicated that what we're saying is the right thing. So let's give us our score tonight.
Yes.
Let's change the scoring. I want to change the scoring tonight. No more 10. We're now going to use 100%. So no more 10.
All right.
So if the program was super, give us 100%. So 100 out of 100, eh? And if the program was not so good, you can give us anything from 1 up. So it can be 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20%, 30%. So if you found the program tonight to be informative, good, engaging, not necessarily entertaining, because we're not trying to entertain you, let us know. So if it's 100%, give us 100. Wade Noble said 100, not 10. No, Wade. But give me 100, Wade. Oh, or is it 10? Maybe it is 10.
Maybe it is 10.
Yeah, so I understand, Wade. Maybe you're saying it's a 10 out of 100. Patriotic Vibe says 60% Mr. Info, 99% Maurice 100, Darnet 100. Thank you, Darnet. 1 million says Lucky Lion. Wow. 100% says Beulah. Very embarrassing. Kick Rock, what do you mean? Kirk says 100. Carol Spence 100. Kevin says 100 times about 20.
Yeah.
Sylvester Lawrence says 100. Tonight's score is 100. 99 from Miami. Alan Scott. Scotta B, wait till they bring it to 1,000. You start at 10. Decide keep it 100, but I say 1,000. Laugh out loud. Respect. Olga says 1,000. No, that's strange. 1,000 is like the other way.
Exactly. That's very simple.
JMH 100 and Purpose Driven Vibes 100. Victory 100. All right. Here, what I want you to do for me. If you find that the UIC is heading in the right direction, if you think we're heading in the right direction, Right now, we only have 169 persons who are donating regularly. Okay, we need 1,000 persons to give $25 a month. If you do that, you will have the UIC fully on the ballot in the next election. But you have to do soon, because the next election appears to be in February. The Prime Minister, you can call it earlier, you can call it earlier. But a birdie told me that he's going to call it for February. That's just around the corner. We're in October now. October soon done, 25th. So November, December, January, February. If you give us the money in February, it's too late. So we need 1,000 donors right now. 1,000 donors giving 25 US or more. But don't be shy. You can give 1,000 or 100 or 50. And if you having challenges, it's okay to give 10, 5, whatever you can. But we need 1,000. Can you help me? Help us to get to 1,000 donors this month before December 25th is up. Let's get 1,000 persons to donate $25 a month. That will ensure we have UIC candidates on the ballot in all 228 seats for the local government election, or even 200 seats, because some of them too bad. So let's get as many as possible. So 1,000 persons giving 25. So if you're not yet giving your 25, please sign up now on our website, uicjamaica.com, to give your 25. If you're here in Jamaica, $250 a week will get you to roughly $1,000. That's the membership, $250 a week. That's all it takes. So join the movement. Let's get it done. We can create one Jamaica, because we know that we're stronger together. Thank you. Have a good night and see you tomorrow. God's willing. All the best.